Thank you, Miss Joy, for being here. And I know you're going to go ahead and give these people what they need tonight.
All right. Good evening, good evening, good evening. How is everyone doing? Let me kind of test the room out. Can you guys drop in the chat what kind of businesses you guys have? Because I like to use real life examples. So what kind? We have a boutique. We have a cleaning business. We have real estate. Okay. And we have a landscaping business. Awesome. So tonight I'm going to break down, number one, how we need to properly structure our business for asset protection, to get funding, how we need to legally run our business, okay? Because forming your LLC is just the first step. We got to have a lot of things so when something happens in business, because something will happen, that we are protected, okay? That we are protected. So, do I have any besties in the chat on this call today that are running their business as a sole proprietor or a DBA? Is anyone running their business as a sole proprietor or a DBA? Okay, so we have a couple people. Okay, so I'm going to start from the beginning and then go all the way to some more advanced business structure. So let's get the show on the road. Corey, can you let me share my screen?
Yeah, I got you right now.
Thank you.
Let me go to make you co-host.
I feel so short.
All right, there we go. You good.
Thanks. Okay. So does everyone see a white screen? Let me get back to my chat. Hold on, y'all. Me and technology is not what I do. It's not what I do. It's not what I do. Where is... Bam. Bam, here we go. Okay, great. Okay, so my name is Joy. If you're not already following me, you can follow me now on Instagram. I give a lot of free tips on how we're going to structure our business and how we're going to market our business. But my name is Joy. I'm your business bestie. I have been a business attorney since 2004 and a serial entrepreneur since 2006. And these are going to be some of the brick and mortar businesses that I have started and scaled to 6 and 7 figures. Okay, so I am not new to this. I am true to this. I'm going to keep it real. Okay, so when we are talking about running our business, a lot of times people feel like, well, I'm not that big yet, or I haven't made that much money, so I don't need an LLC. And let me tell you why we need an LLC before a logo, before our email address, before our website. So this is you. You may have a house, you may have a car, you may have money in the bank. When you are running your business as a sole proprietor, as a DBA, you're out here doing business. So if something were to happen, you're the person that's going to be sued and you're the ones whose assets are going to be taken. So we have a real estate company on this class tonight. If I have Joy's Rentals and I had a person slip and fall and break their neck, they sue me. I lose the lawsuit. They get a $2 million judgment against me. I only have $1 million insurance policy. I am now on the hook for $1 million. They're going to come take my house, take my car, take the money out the bank to satisfy that judgment. We don't want that, okay? So the second you're thinking about starting a business, you want to form your LLC to separate you and your assets from the business. So same scenario. Person slips, falls, breaks their neck, you lose a lawsuit. You'll lose the cash that you had in the business, but you won't lose your assets, okay? So that's called asset protection. Another reason why you want to form your LLC or corporation is it's going to make your business look credible, like a real business. It's also going to reserve your business name in the state that you are in. And your business now can walk into the bank, get a line of credit, can walk into the bank and get a loan, can apply for business grants. It's going to double your borrowing power. Now, does any besties on here have multiple businesses, but they're running them under one LLC? So maybe you have one LLC and a whole bunch of DBAs. Do I have anyone in here doing that or no? We already know that's not what we do. Just in case someone is on here that does that, we don't want to combine businesses. When you combine businesses, you combine liability. So if I have Joy's Real Estate and then I'm going to start Joy's Landscaping, but I say, hey, I'm going to get a DBA and just run Joy's Landscaping out of Joy's Real Estate LLC, I mess up on someone's lawn. I tear up the grass. It's ruined. They sue me. I lose the lawsuit. Not only can they take the money and assets from Joy's Landscaping, they can take the money and assets from Joy's Real Estate. Now, before y'all say, well, Joy's Real Estate had nothing to do with Joy's Landscaping, you're correct. But when you combine businesses in one LLC, you're also combining the liability, and we don't want that. So each business needs to have its own LLC or its own corporation. Everything needs to be separate. Now, when you're forming your LLC, here are a couple things that we need to be mindful of. Number one, you want to have a registered agent. The agent is going to be someone who's saying, I'm responsible for receiving mail. If you've already formed your LLC, every year you want to check to make sure that this address is a good address. There have been times where I've had clients get a frivolous lawsuit, right? But they never received the lawsuit because it was sent to an old address. It's your responsibility as the owner to make sure that everything on your LLC paperwork is current and up to date. So if your address is out of date, you want to amend it by filing an amendment and updating your address. So tonight, everyone go pull out your LLC paperwork and make sure that the address for the registered agent is a correct address. You want to also have what's called your operating agreement. That's going to be the contract for your business. It's going to govern how your business is ran. It's a corporate formality. Some banks are going to want this contract to open up a business bank account. We're going to need to have a business bank account. We want to make sure that the true income of the business is in the business bank account. Every LLC is going to have to file what's called an annual report, except for Arizona, Alabama, and Ohio. If you don't file this report, your state's going to make your LLC inactive, which means you don't have an LLC, and we don't want that. We also want to make sure that whatever licenses, insurance, permits that our industry is saying that we have those. If not, that could cause us to what's called pierce the corporate veil, meaning lose our asset protection because we were not following the rules. Now, forming your LLC is the first step in establishing asset protection. Running your business like it's Walmart or running your business like it's a true business is how we keep this format. So, being underinsured. If your industry says you got to carry $1 million liability policy, but you have $500,000, that would be a reason to lose your asset protection. If we're using our business bank account like a piggy bank, we are swiping it for Fashion Nova, nails, the hookah bar, those kind of things, we're going to lose our asset protection. We forgot to file our annual reports. Our LLC is inactive. We're going to lose our asset protection. So forming the LLC is the first step. Running it like it's Walmart is how we keep the asset protection. Now, if you've been anywhere on social media, I'm sure you've heard of an S Corp. Has anyone on here heard of an S Corp before? Give me a yes or no in the comments. So an S Corp is not actually a business entity. An S Corp is what's called a tax election. So when you're forming your business, you have two options. You can form an LLC or you can form a corporation known as a C Corp. You can form an LLC or you can form a corporation known as a C Corp. Both your LLC or a C Corp don't have the best tax structure. A C Corp is going to be taxed twice. It's going to be taxed when the business makes money and when they pay the owners. Then LLC is going to have a 15.3% self-employment tax on top of the income tax. So the IRS says, hey, LLC, hey, C Corp, if you want to get taxed a better way, ask us to tax you as an S Corp. So an S Corp, we don't form. An S Corp is just a tax election. So you're still an LLC, you're still a C Corp, but in the IRS eyes, they're taxing you as an LLC. So nothing changes with your actual structure, but for the IRS, for federal purposes, you're an LLC taxed as an S Corp, or you're a C Corp taxed as an S Corp. Well, why do I want to be an S Corp? Besides not having all of those taxes, it's going to reduce your tax liability. However, in order to be an S Corp, number one, you as the owner have to now be on payroll. Meaning you have to have a paycheck every 2 weeks or every month with payroll taxes being taken out. And now the business will file its own separate tax return, which will run you about $750 to $2,000, depending on how complex the return is. And you're going to become an S Corp by filing a form. Do I have it on here? 2553 with the IRS. 2553. Now, some of you guys may not want your information on the World Wide Web. Some of you guys may not want people knowing that you own your business. So there are 4 states that allow you to have what's called an anonymous LLC, meaning that when you go on the Secretary of State's website, the owner's information is not going to be on there. Delaware, Wyoming, New Mexico, and Nevada are the 4 states that allow someone to form an LLC, but their information isn't on the World Wide Web. Now, your information will be on your operating agreement and the bank will know it's you. But as far as Googling and, going on Secretary of State's website and figuring out who owns what, they do not disclose that information. So this is what the articles of organization look like for an anonymous LLC. It's just going to have the name of the LLC, the registered agent, and that's it. This will be the articles for Louisiana. As you can see, they're going to have the actual name and address of the owners. Where the anonymous LLC, there's just nothing really on there. Just the business name, the agent, the address of the business, and that's it. If you do want to have an anonymous LLC, you want to make sure that you're not forming it yourself, because the organizer is going to have their name on there. The organizer is the person that's actually doing the paperwork to form the LLC. So you want to hire a company to do this for you, so none of your information is on your paperwork if this is what you're trying to do. Now, you can form your LLC anywhere you want. However, forming your LLC there does not give you the benefits of that state. So if I am in California and I'm like, you know what, I think I want to file my LLC in Texas because Texas doesn't have any state taxes. Filing your LLC in Texas does not elude you or give you those benefits. What gives you the benefits is where is the money earned. Taxes are paid where the money is earned. So it all is going to depend on where are your corporate headquarters. So if you have a physical presence, you have a business location, or you or one of the owners is in a certain state, then you need to have your LLC in that state. So if I'm in California, I have an online business, I have a California business because I am the CEO and I'm in California. If I had a business partner who was in Texas, now I can kind of cherry pick and decide, do I want to be a California LLC or a Texas LLC? So if I'm in California, I have to have a California business to do business, but I don't want my information on my paperwork. I can go form an LLC in Delaware, Wyoming, Nevada, New Mexico, but I now have to register that out-of-state LLC as a foreign LLC in the state that I'm doing business in for my headquarters. So I would have to form a foreign LLC in California. Now, yes, you can do business in other states, but you have to have what's called a headquarters, and you have to have a registered business in those headquarters. Now, another reason why you may want to form a foreign LLC is to open up your business to other banks. So let's just say Mr. Hagee gives you a play of a bank in Idaho that is giving away a loan for new businesses, but you don't have an Idaho LLC. You can take your current LLC, register it as a foreign LLC, and now you open yourself up to all the banks in Idaho. Another reason why you may have a foreign LLC is if you move. So let's just say I have a California LLC for the past 5 years, but now I moved to New York. If I form a New York LLC, I'm going to lose my 5 years of being in business. So I could take my California LLC and register it in New York as a foreign LLC saying, hey, New York, I have a California LLC, but now I'm going to be doing business here in New York. So those would be the different reasons why you would need to file a foreign LLC. Now, when it comes to protecting our assets, I want you to think about it in two different segments. There's inside liability and there's outside liability. Inside liability is going to be what happens inside of the business that causes the lawsuit, that causes the problem. Someone slipped and fell and broke their neck at your establishment. You have a contract dispute. Something inside of the business caused the liability. Outside liability means you, the owner, caused the liability. Once you become a business owner, you're now also a moving target. So does anyone here have kids? If there is a case, there is a family that had a child. Their daughter went to prom and used the dad's car to go to prom. The daughter wasn't drinking. She just lost control of the car and she ran a red light and she killed someone. In every single state, a parent is always financially responsible for the minor's financial mistakes or damages. So, once they found out the car was registered to the dad, there's the lawsuit. They had a $1 million insurance policy, but they had a $3 million judgment against them. So after the $1 million insurance policy paid that judgment, they were on the hook for $2 million. The court seized the dad's business to satisfy that judgment. So, as a business owner, anything in your name can now be lost if you cause the liability. So we got inside liability and we got outside liability. Okay, so how do we protect ourselves? There is no one thing that protects you. Okay, so there is no, if you get this, you are guaranteed to be protected. What you want to do is use a variety of tools to put as many layers between you and your assets that are possible. So layer number one, of course, is going to be insurance. Number two, another structure you can use is going to be a trust. So a trust is just going to be a piece of paper. It's an agreement. It's a piece of paper And in this agreement, it can own assets. It can own vehicles, trademarks, real estate. The great thing about a trust is that it's private, meaning I can't go Google and go look up what's in your trust. Oh, Justin got a trust. I'm going to have to go Google Justin's trust. There is no way for me to go Google Justin's trust. It's a private document. Nobody knows what you own except for the people who have a copy of this trust. There are two types of trusts. There's a revocable living trust and an irrevocable living trust. There are a variety of names of trust, a land trust, a this trust, a that trust, but there's just two types of trust, revocable or irrevocable. Revocable is the most common trust. This trust protects your assets not while you're alive, but once you die. In a revocable trust, you can take an asset and put it in the trust. You can say, just kidding, I want to move it around. You can now take the asset out of the trust. You can put the asset in the trust, and then maybe we got to use this as collateral or a loan, and we got to maybe take a loan on it. I can move the property in and out of the trust. Because I can move the property in and out of the trust, I do not have any asset protection while I'm alive. So when y'all on social media, they're going to say, and the trust owns this, and the this owns it. You need to know what it is that they're talking about. A revocable living trust does not give you any asset protection while you are living because you can still touch the asset. Now, how it does protect you is upon your death, your heirs, your beneficiaries immediately get your assets. So if you were to have a will has to go through what's called probate court. You have to hire a probate attorney. You have to go through probate court. And depending on the Pookie and them trying to contest the will, on average, it's going to take you about 6 months to a year to be able to probate the will. And then your heirs get access to those benefits or those assets. If there's an asset in the trust that is encumbered, if grandma's house had a mortgage on it and no one could touch grandma's money, no one could touch anything from grandma for a whole year, is there somebody that can pay that mortgage for the entire year until they access grandma's money? If the answer is no, that's how a lot of assets get lost that's how assets can get lost during the probate procedure. Mm-hmm. So a revocable living trust, there is no asset protection while you are alive. There is privacy. And then upon your death, your heirs get your assets immediately. Now, the second type of trust is going to be called an irrevocable trust. An irrevocable trust. This trust is going to allow you bulletproof protection, meaning once you put it in there, you good to go. It ain't going nowhere. Once you put that asset in there, it is protected. In exchange for having asset protection, though, you can't touch the asset. You can't move it. You can't encumber it. You can't say, just kidding, I want to bring it back. You have to relinquish your control over the asset. So for this reason, a lot of business owners don't want to put their assets in a trust that they cannot control because they may need to zig and zag. I may need to move an asset here, get a loan off it. I may need to do something with that asset. Well, then why would somebody want to put their asset in an irrevocable trust? If you can't touch it, what is the benefit of that? One of the benefits is going to be that you can now control the asset from the grave, meaning you can put in your trust when your heirs can access things. So if anyone on here has kids like mine, if my son got a hold of anything, he's selling it and buying him a little car, right? So if you have saved up and sacrificed and you have a large real estate portfolio, you may not want to give your 22-year-old kids full access to that property. So you can say, hey, you can't sell it until the age of blah, blah, blah. You can't encumber it until the age of blah, blah, blah. You can basically control how they use the asset upon your death. Another reason why people like this trust is that it's going to keep your heirs' property separate. So if your kids were able to, you left them 3 or 4 homes, and your child accidentally married the wrong person, and now they about to get divorced, and their spouse like, ooh, I've been dying to get my hands on that property anyway. The joke is on them. That property has remained separate property, so they will not lose it in case of a divorce. So those are the benefits of having an irrevocable trust. So what a lot of people do is they'll have a revocable trust while they're living, and upon their death, they'll have the revocable trust turn into an irrevocable trust so that their heirs get the benefits of having the asset protection once they receive the asset. So, because the irrevocable trust, you really can't move the property if you need to, and the revocable trust doesn't give you asset protection, most business owners will put their assets in what's called a holding company. A holding company is just going to be an LLC or a corporation, but how we use it is what makes it a holding company. We're not going to do any business with the outside world. We're not going to establish any kind of business credit. We're not going to do anything that's going to make us have any kind of liability. We're going to use this LLC or corporation just to own the asset, to own the vehicle, to own the copyright, to own the trademark, to own the insurance policy. You're going to have one LLC, the holding company, own the assets. You'll have another LLC that's doing the business with the public. So the public never knows about this LLC. They are just doing business with your operating company. So when they slip and fall, when they get upset and sue you, they're suing the business that doesn't have the asset. If you lose the lawsuit, will you lose some cash? You'll lose a little cash. In business, you're going to lose something, right? My job is to show you how to mitigate or how to reduce what it is that you're going to lose. It'd be so much easier if I had real estate. If I had the real estate in one LLC, I'm doing business in the second LLC. There will be a lease agreement between these two. Every single month, the holding company pays the operating company. If something happens, I'll lose the cash flow, but I can just restructure, form a new LLC, and keep on going. In business, cash flow is king. We have to preserve the cash flow of a business. So here's a better picture. There will be a lease agreement between these two entities to be able to use the assets, and the operating company will pay every single month a lease fee to the holding company to be able to use the asset. And that is how we keep the operations of the business that's going to have all the liability, separate from the entity that owns the assets. Now, parent companies are going to be an LLC or a corporation that owns other businesses. An LLC or a corporation that owns other businesses. So you can have all your LLCs owned by you. I call this little format the bubbles. Some people like a more complex structure. They can have one business own all of the baby LLCs. This one does look prettier, right? However, I want everyone to know that there are pros and cons to all types of structures. The issue with this one is that if we do not follow the corporate formalities at the baby level and the corporate veil gets pierced, they can come up to the mama entity. So let's just say that I have Joy's Construction, and maybe I was shopping online on Fashion Nova using my business bank account. Maybe I forgot to filed my LLC annual report and my LLC became inactive. And I accidentally destroyed something at this construction site and I got sued. At the time of the lawsuit, if my LLC was inactive, they can then pierce my LLC and then come up to the parent company, which now owns everything. So if we're not really great with dates on P's and Q's, if we're more like, hey, I want like a simple structure, your bubbles will be a nice simple structure. If you want a more complex structure, then you want to look for the parent company with the subsidiaries or the baby LLCs. Well, who wants to go through all that work? I am so glad you asked me. So number one, you as an owner, you may want to only take payroll from one entity. So what you could do is you could have all the profits of your baby LLCs, the subsidiaries, move them up via a management fee to the parent company and take one payroll from the parent company. Of course, the parent company will be an S corp for tax purposes. Maybe you are trying to get funding and the requirement may be the business has to make $10,000 a month in revenue. Well, maybe each business on its own doesn't make $10,000, but if you put them all together, they do make $10,000. So we could take the profits of the baby businesses, move them up via a management fee, and then just get funding on the parent company. You may have formed a business in a high-risk industry, and before you took Mr. Haggie's class, you didn't know, and you named your business Joy's Funding and Credit Repair High Risk LLC. And you're trying to get maximum funding. Well, we can't amend our LLC because when you amend, if I change the name of it, they got to take the original with the amendment. They're going to see what the original name was. But I could change the ownership of the LLC. So if I formed a parent company and I formed the parent company in an anonymous LLC state, it doesn't have to be, but not an LLC state. And then now I have the parent company own the high risk industry, LLC. I would then move the profits of the high risk business up to the parent company, and then I would get funding on the low risk parent company. Or you may want to not have your name on your LLC, but you may not want to have to file the foreign LLC and do all of that. I call this the reverse anonymous LLC. You could form your parent company in Wyoming, Nevada, Delaware, New Mexico, and then have your parent company be the owner of your LLC. So instead of your name being on your paperwork, it'd be J&J Holdings, right? Or J&J Parent Company. So if someone's trying to snoop around, oh, I want to see what author owned, what author got. And they going to say, it says Author Enterprises. I mean, it says A Enterprises. What's that? So they go getting around to Google A Enterprises. It's an anonymous state. Nobody knows who owns anything. So those will be the reasons why people will form a parent company. Once again, there is no right or wrong. There's no this one is better. You got 6 in this hand, a half a dozen in the other. It's whatever you feel is best for you. Whatever you feel is best for you. So if you want to put all of this together, you would be here. You would own a revocable living trust. You could still control the asset. The trust could own the parent company. The parent company will own the subsidiaries. And we always have our holding company that's going to be separate. If you don't want the trust, we can go right here, you to the parent company. Parent companies own the subsidiaries. And then once again, your holding company is going to always be separate. Just in case something happens here, it's not going to affect over here where our assets are. Now, when you are funding your business, when you're starting your business or you're carrying your business, you may have to put money into your business. We don't want to just put the money from our personal account and putting in our business account, because that's going to trigger income, which is going to trigger a tax liability. You may be trying to get funding, so you go put your paycheck in your LLC. If you just put the paycheck in your LLC, that's going to trigger a tax consequence. Okay? So you want to make sure that if you're putting money in your business bank account, that we're putting it in the correct way. So if you're trying to start your business, or you got to carry your business, you got to cover payroll expenses, you want to make sure that you're jotting down the money that you're putting in on either a capital contribution agreement or an LLC loan agreement. A capital contribution agreement is saying this: I'm putting this money in my business. I don't need to be paid back. It's a capital contribution. Or if you're going to say, well, no, girl, once my LLC starts making money, I want to get paid back, then you will put the amount that you're putting in your business on an LLC loan agreement. So every time you put money in your business bank account, you're going to make sure that you're notating, is it a capital contribution or is it a loan? For this reason, let's just say $100,000 hits my business bank account, but 50 of it came from me. I'm self-funding my business. I'm doing things. It came from one account to the other. We don't want to pay a tax on the full 100,000. If you just give your CPA, your accountant, your bank statements, all they're going to have is the income in there, and taxes will be assessed on the full $100,000. However, if you notated all the money you put in on either a capital contribution or an LLC loan agreement, and we gave these two agreements to your CPA, your accountant, at the end of tax season, at the end of the year for tax season, they're going to see $100,000 hit the account, but only 50 of it was income. So we're only going to assess the tax on the 50, not the full 100. So those will be the contracts that you need to make sure that when you're putting money in your business, when you're self-funding your business, that you're not triggering a tax consequence. So there's multiple ways of running a play. There's multiple ways of getting things done. You just want to know how to do it correctly so we don't have another liability by trying to get something done. Okay. Are we doing questions, Corey, or are we just good to go? What are we doing?
Yeah, I want to. If y'all had like any questions from Ms. Joy, y'all, we want to take on questions. We got like 5 minutes. Ms. Joy got to head to another class, but if y'all have any questions, please raise y'all hand real quick, and let's take advantage of this. She just dropped a lot of jewels for y'all. I see we got Miss Unique as the first question.
Okay, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Awesome.
All right. So my next guy understood that was a lot of information. Thank you, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
That was my contact. Anyway, so if you decide to do the bubble method, should you still have a trust?
You personally should have a trust. Think of the trust as like a replacement for your will. So everyone should at least have a revocable living trust. So upon your death, your heirs will get whatever it is you have. Your bank accounts, all that should be in your revocable living trust. So we don't really need a will because the will goes through probate.
Okay. So trust access faster and skips probate.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. That's all.
You're welcome.
Mr. Reggie, you up?
All right. Good evening, Joy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. I have a question. I have LLC that I opened up in Wyoming. And it was opened up at the time I own a real estate company, so we do with residential real estate. So we opened up this LLC, a second LLC, with intentions of doing multifamily purchases and so forth. But I put it on hold and really didn't do anything with it for a while, and so I had to go back and reinstate all of that. So the question I have for you, it was opened up in Wyoming. I live in the state of North Carolina, so I'm ready to start using that LLC that's separate from, again, the real estate LLC. Am I required at this point to re-register the LLC in North Carolina? And if I have to do that, does that mean that I have to get a new EIN number as well?
No. So you would register your Wyoming LLC as a foreign LLC in North Carolina.
Okay.
It's the same business. You're just letting North Carolina, hey, I have a Wyoming LLC that's now doing business in North Carolina.
Okay. And it doesn't matter what type of business that I'm doing. I just have to let the state of North Carolina know that I have this LLC that I'm operating.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Okay. And so I just go to the state of North Carolina and just start with the paperwork and all of that.
Correct. The Secretary of State, you want the foreign LLC paperwork. Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Zine and Ms. Collins, you up. You up.
Hi, Joy.
How you
Can you hear
doing?
me?
Yes, I can. How you doing?
I'm good. I've seen you a couple times before. I love your energy. I love your information. And I've been on your site and gotten some information from you about business structure. But I have a question about, there's something that's unclear to me. Do you need, in the last diagram, you had S Corp, and then you had over to the side LLC. So does that mean it's the same? You know what I'm saying? Not the bubble one, the other one.
Oh, okay. It could be an S Corp or an LLC. So the structure would be an LLC, how it's taxed. Either you can keep it how the IRS taxes an LLC, or you can choose the S Corp tax election. Normally, once your business starts making about $60,000 in profit, that's when you want to switch over to the S Corp tax election.
Okay, so you don't have to do that right away. You can do it after you've
Correct.
gotten to a certain level. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
All right, we got Miss Paris. How you doing, Miss Paris?
I'm great. I have two questions actually, and one of them is regarding a nonprofit, and I know you didn't touch on that, Joy, but it's okay to ask a question about nonprofit?
You can. That's not really my lane, Miss Paris. I'm going to see what I know.
Okay, so my question is, I had a business partner. We had a nonprofit together, and the business partner is gone. Do I have to get another nonprofit, or can I use the one that we got jointly?
What was their position on the nonprofit? Were they on the board?
Well, they were a former business partner, and they left the business per se, so they're no longer doing any business or have anything to do with the business, but the nonprofit is still there to be used, and I haven't been used it because I don't know, if I can or should.
So that's where the operating agreement will come into play. Is your nonprofit an LLC or a corporation?
Corporation.
So then you have bylaws. You want to look in the bylaws as far as the death of a board member, what happens. So there could be a couple of things. Their significant other, their spouse, could have the right of first refusal, saying like, hey, you have to give me the option to replace it, or he's just replaced. Normally you would look at the bylaws to see upon the death What did y'all agree to? If you
Okay.
don't have bylaws, then we kind of out here a little dirty. So technically, if he was on the paperwork, you would need to remove his name from the paperwork. Was he on the bank account?
Yes, but the bank account has been closed.
Okay. So you want to look once again to the bylaws to see who is authorized to be on the bank account. We're going to need to amend it to take him off since he's dead, but you want to look at your bylaws.
Oh, no, he's not dead. I mean, as if you say left.
Girl, I done killed him. I'm sorry. Okay, well then you want to look at the bylaws to see what it says. And if he's no longer with the business, he needs to be removed from the nonprofit. And then if it's just going to be you on there, that's fine. But if his name is on there, when it comes time to open up the bank account, they're going to be looking for him also.
Right. Okay. All right. So if I have a document that he signed that says he no longer wants to be a part of the business, can I use that to remove him from the nonprofit?
You would do an amendment with the Secretary of State to amend your articles of incorporation. So a nonprofit is just a corporation or an LLC. The nonprofit is the tax election that the IRS gives a corporation or an LLC. So how an S Corp is a tax election, a nonprofit is just a tax election. So you have a corporation. So you want to amend your corporation to remove him from your articles of incorporation. But you want to first look to see what your bylaws say, so you don't just remove him and he comes up talking about you to something, unauthorized.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll look at that.
Okay.
And would you explain again, please, about what you said about the holding company, how that operates, or you're not supposed to get anything, no bank accounts or anything like that. The holding company, the purpose of it is just for ownership?
Ownership. It will have a bank account because remember, the operating LLC is going to be paying it a lease fee every single month to lease the asset. So we are taking the asset out of the operating company. So in case a lawsuit happens in business, something's going to go wrong, Ms. Paris. Something's going to go wrong. You are going to get sued. It's just called business. So when something goes wrong, when your employee made a mistake, when you and the person cussing and fussing over a contract dispute, when that goes wrong, we don't lose the asset along with whatever it is we lose within the lawsuit.
Got you. Okay. And your holding company delineates the operating agreement of the holding company delineates what assets are actually held.
No. What's going to determine what it holds is how you place the ownership. So if you have your holding company own a car, then the car will be registered at the DMV in the holding company's name. If the holding company owns property, then the deed would have the holding company's name on it as the owner.
All right. Okay, I see what you're saying. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Alrighty, y'all. We're gonna do like 2 more questions really quick, y'all, because we're running up on time. So let me go ahead and bring Miss Tara up. We got Miss Tara. How you doing, Miss Tara?
How you doing? Hi, Joy.
Hi.
How y'all doing? My question got asked, but I have a second part about the foreign LLC. Are you able to operate in both states with the foreign LLC?
Correct.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. And I'm gonna take on Mr. Troy Brown. What's going on, Mr. Troy? Let me get you.
Okay, there you go. Quick question. I have a question about the trust. I know if you have a house and you put that house in a trust with the mortgage on it, will that trigger the clause where the whole amount of the money is due?
Most mortgages, it will not. You want to talk to your lender. So before you move anything that has a mortgage, you want to say, hey, for asset protection reasons, I want to move this to my trust? Are you okay with that? And is it going to trigger that clause? The second thing you want to make sure is that if you're in a state that has a homestead exemption, so if putting it in the trust is going to affect your homestead exemption.
Okay.
So whenever you're dealing with a trust, you want to contact an estate planning attorney, ESTATE, in the state that you live in, because everyone's heirship laws is different. And so you want to make sure that you're getting the information that applies to the state that you're in and how upon your death things are going to be given away.
Okay. But if it doesn't have a mortgage, it should be simple to put it in the trust.
Correct. So the only question is going to be about the homestead exemption.
Okay.
Are you worried about it? Are we not worried about it? Are you gonna lose your homestead exemption? Some states, the homestead exemption may be like just $50,000. It may be, you may even be worried about it, but you want to make sure those two things: the mortgage due clause and the exemption, the homestead exemption. Just understand what you're doing.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, y'all. So can we want to do something, right? I want y'all to go to unmute yourselves. Okay, just drop a fire emoji in the chat real quick. If you got some game tonight, drop a fire emoji in the chat. We want to go to show our gratitude. All right, to Miss Joy. She came here and she literally just dropped a lot of fire bombs, right? You know, everything that you would possibly think of as far as your LLC structure. I know you guys got a lot of game. And also, you know, she always show me my flowers anytime I come talk to the class. So I want to go ahead and return the favor, y'all. Look, I want to go to unmute y'all. I need y'all to go ahead and give Miss Joy a thank you, Joy. She do this for me every time, and I want y'all to do the same thing for her. Can we get a big thank you, Joy? Right? Unmute y'all so y'all able to go ahead and come off of mute. I believe I got y'all to be able to come off of mute. Hold on. There y'all go. Y'all should be able to come off of mute now. Let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Joy.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you,
Thank you, Miss Joy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Definitely
you.
appreciate you, Joy. Beautiful as always.
Oh,
Great
thank you.
information.
Thank you.
Joy.
Yes, she is. She the Don Dada, y'all. So if y'all don't got her Instagram, right, she dropped in the beginning. I want y'all to go to give her a follow. She is our go-to business bestie when it comes to all LLC structure, y'all. Right, we're bringing the best of the best. So, Joy, I want to say publicly, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for taking your time out, and we're gonna be talking soon.
Thank you. Bye.
All right.
Okay, TikTok and Instagram. I not had lipstick on, and did no one say nothing? Gee. Did no one say nothing? If you are trying to structure your business correctly, if you are trying to make sure that you're running your business correctly, you can either comment help on Instagram and book a business structure consultation, or just get my free class. I'm having a free class tomorrow at 7 p.m. and Thursday at 9 p.m. TikTok, click that first link in my bio for my free masterclass and sign up. I'm going for free, teaching you how to structure your business, fund your business, market your business, and how do you make $1,000 to $5,000 in your sleep by selling a digital product. Instagram, you can comment bank in the comments for the link to my free class. TikTok, you got to click that first link in my bio. I got to do a Zoom. I got another Zoom. Click that first link in my bio, and you want to click the free masterclass, okay? In 2025, we need to be financially independent. Financially independent of a person and financially independent of a job. So just in case something happens, we're good. We know how to use our business, have our digital products, and go be able to make some money by Monday. Make some money by Monday. So I am teaching not just business structure. I'm teaching how do you market the business? How do you get your target audience to your website, to your brick and mortar? How do you go make a sale? That is so important. Everyone needs to know how to develop a brand and a profitable business. And even if you don't have a lot of money, I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do it. You are going to have to put some work in. You are going to have some hustle. But if you don't develop the skill, it's going to be a problem. Miss Beauty by Diana NYC. If your page is private, the link won't come. So just click that first link in my bio and you want to join my free masterclass. Okay. I have another Zoom, y'all, that I got to get off on. And then I have my little mentorship program. But I am trying to make sure that everyone knows how to, yes, Black Girl Magic. I am a lawyer too. You see my degrees? Hold on. That's Louisiana. Hold on, TikTok. And that's Texas. That's Louisiana. That's Texas. I don't just look good. I'm smart in real life. I'm not an influencer. I really do this. I've been in business for 20 years, building brick and mortar businesses, dealerships, salons, collision shops, insurance agencies, weight loss companies. Like, I'm not just an attorney. I'm not just an entrepreneur. I'm both. So I'm teaching you the real in business, not the get my class and be a millionaire tomorrow. That ain't real. But I'm going to teach you the real in business. How do you go from concept to fruition? How do we put it in motion? How do you start and go make you some money by Monday? We aren't waiting for the perfect timing. We aren't waiting for the lifestyle lifing. We aren't waiting for all the perfect credit. We're going to go make us a sale and go make some money by Monday. We can make our business prettier later. Okay. That is the one thing I see is missing out here. And that's what I'm preaching on. Go make some money by Monday. Go make some money by Monday. Go make you a sale right now. Okay. So y'all got 2 more Zooms, Instagram, comment bank, or click that first link in my bio to my free class. TikTok, link in my bio, free masterclass. Y'all learn how to structure your business, fund your business, market your business so you are financially independent of a person and of a job. Just in case something happens, you and your family are good. Just in case something happens, you and your family are good. Okay? Everyone have a good night, and I will, of course, see you at the bank.